So I'm trying to help Brian here, and I'm sorry it's delaying everybody else, so I'm going to have to get started. So James Hollenbeck's here. He's a longtime client, and he keeps me straight. So if he makes any comment, you probably ought to listen to his comments. So, like I said earlier, this is part 2 of vapor intrusion. Part 1, we showed you why you need to do vapor intrusion, even though ASTM standards and all appropriate inquiry does not, by the EPA, does not exactly point out you need to do vapor intrusion. But basically, we showed you the sections and everything that basically come to the conclusion that you do need to address the potential or that there is vapor intrusion on your subject site, and that is a recognized environmental condition. So the potential for vapor intrusion is a recognized environmental condition. And even though it doesn't say vapor intrusion, it does say vapor migration of hazardous materials and petroleum products. So now we're going to show you how you identify it without vapor intrusion, without having to get an extra vapor intrusion report, which costs you money, or a vapor intrusion modeling. Vapor intrusion report, vapor intrusion sampling, and vapor intrusion modeling are phase 2 or next step after phase 1. A phase 1 is really designed to identify if there's current contamination easily or the potential for contamination on the subject property. So hopefully everybody agrees with that. And let's go ahead and move forward. So the very first thing is what things should you order in order to review for vapor intrusion when you're writing your phase 1 report. Now you should really do vapor intrusion as you're doing any other kind of, looking for any other kind of recognized environmental condition. Today we're only going to focus on vapor intrusion. So if you order a really good radius search report like ours, you're going to have some vapor stuff in it. You're also going to be able to see air permits. You're all going to see people who use hazardous materials and what kinds of chemicals they are. You're also going to see reports on automotive and manufacturing they use as solvents. All those things could potentially cause vapor intrusion. So let's go through and see real quickly from part 1 some of the things that you really should look for. So one of the things I want to do is just recap really quickly the things that are going to maybe give you a potential for vapor intrusion. So what are some of the main compounds that cause vapor intrusion? Obviously, you need to know these in order to look out for them, right? So gasolines, kerosene, fuel oils, petroleum district, paint thinner, oil-based stains, paint, aerosols, liquid insect pest products, mineral spirits, furniture polish. Every single one of those should be something you're looking for that contains VOC ingredients. And this is a really nice list. If you don't have a list like this, you can request a copy of this Part 1 presentation if you're our client. We'll be glad to help our clients. And to become a client, all you got to do is order a radius search report from us and try us out. So we'd be glad to send this to you. Manufacturer of personal care products, dry clean clothes. We all know about tetrachloroethane, perchloroethane, per PCE, trichloroethane, TCE. And that's the most common thing we find that causes vapor intrusion on our sites or adjacent to our sites. But one thing that surprised me about this list is citrus orange oil. Remember, you have these termite sprayers that spray orange oil and say it's safe. Well, think about the levels of isoprene or apinene or D-limonene. They happen to be hazardous at certain levels, and that could be a concern. So you should really know all the different ways that you can get volatile organic chemical and vapor intrusion from adjacent sites or from your subject site. So if your site was ever using, was a manufacturer of aerosol or upholstery or automotive related industries, including repair, you should be concerned. And there could be the potential for vapor intrusion on your subject site. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. Environmental factors. What are environmental factors? Soil conditions, concentrations, locations, groundwater conditions. All these things play a part. Now, soil conditions, if you have sandy soil, like in Southern California, most of it's sandy and gravelly, fine to medium grain sands. Vapors, there's a lot of porosity. Porosity means a lot of vapor can move around, and it's going to move all over. And you can have that's soil conditions, and you need to take that into account, especially if you've got someone using volatile organic chemicals adjacent to your subject property. But so this is a whole list, and it's a nice little list to pass out to your new report writers, or for some of you old cronies to actually read and follow once in a while and take into account and refresh your memory. Like me, I'm an old guy and I need to have my memory refreshed. So these are the kinds of things we're looking for in all the documents that we get. So now we're going to start reviewing documents, because now we know what we need to look for vapor intrusion or the potential for vapor intrusion. So the order you review documents in is really up to you. I do it a certain way. You can change it up now and then, but I like to start building a picture. When I'm writing a phase 1, I'm really catching all these things for recognized environmental conditions, not just vapor intrusion, at the same time. So I like going in certain order, and I keep a notepad to build my recognized conditions. And I'm putting facts together and hopefully have enough facts saying that this is the reason. It builds a case for why vapor intrusion or potential vapor intrusion is a recognized environmental condition for a site. So you write down every time you see one little thing that could potentially be vapor intrusion, then the grand sum of all these facts end up giving you your recognized environmental condition that's indisputable, that your client can't argue with you. they'll always try to say, well, this isn't the case or this isn't the case. But what about if you have 10 facts saying the case? And in this case, we're going to come up and explore one particular site, and we're going to come up with numerous reasons why there's vapor intrusion on this site. So, what are the things or items we should get? Well, basically, we should get historical sources, a RecCheck or radius search report that is really detailed, city directories, aerial photos for good history, and review all these things. And just from those documents, if you get good documents from a good vendor like us, you're going to have enough to determine whether vapor intrusion is a potential or not, or even if whether vapor intrusion is probably on the site. So let's get started. I would normally start with the radius search or RecCheck report. So I'm going to load that up. I'm going to put it right here. So the first thing is, this is a RecCheck or radius search, 1 mile radius search report that far exceeds this ASTM and AA radius search requirements. Remember, we're going through this thing just looking for vapor intrusion potential, but there's a whole lot more in here that can help you doing your whole phase one and everything else. Our RecCheck reports were designed and written by environmental professionals with lots and lots of experience. So if you ever have any questions on the RecCheck or want to learn how to interpret it, the RecCheck and review it efficiently, let me know. So the first thing you do is you check and make sure it's your right site. If you're doing a whole bunch of reports, you don't want to be reviewing the wrong report. So this is the correct site. We open the bookmarks, and we're really quickly going to go down to the 16th of a mile radius. So right here, we've got a whole bunch of things. Our reports have yellow, meaning you need to look at it, to red, which is bad to the bone, and green is good. So right away, we've got some issues. And remember, we're only looking for vapor intrusion, and we're not going to cover everything in vapor intrusion in this one webinar. There's zillions and zillions of things that could cause vapor intrusion. It's just you got to keep an open mind, and you learn from every report you do. I don't know it all, of course, so as we're going through, I'm going to ask you, does anybody see anything that could be a vapor intrusion sign? So right away, we've got a site number 2, red, right next to us. So what is red? And our site is listed for 1. So let's go to the details of what this listing is. And we click over here in the bookmarks, and we're right at the details. So our site is a historic RV dealer, trailers, recreational vehicles. Okay, I'm all right away thinking, what kind of RV dealer is this, right? Well, Racing Riverside Marine. So right away, you know that they're probably selling boats. And if they sell boats, they probably repair fiberglass and work on the motors, right? Or the engines, or whatever you want to call them. So right away, I'm thinking solvents, paint thinners, and paints, but I don't know yet. But this is one fact I'm going to write down. So in the database search, I've got the site listed, boat dealer. That's one fact leading me, it's still not enough, but it's one fact leading to the potential for vapor intrusion on the subject site. Boat dealer, right there. We just verified it. 1997. So this thing's been a boat dealer for a long, long time. Okay, so let's go back and let's look at 2 real quick. Remember, we can jump around to the maps. We can do all kinds of things in our radius search report. But the real point being is you need to do it in an orderly fashion so you get everything you need to do. So one thing I want you to note is this listing number 2, which is to the northwest across the street, it's 2 feet higher than my site. So anything spilled on that site or whatever is going to go to my site. The other thing you should really note really quick is the site location map. So there's that manufacturing plant, and everything's going to go that way towards a water source, and it's higher than our site here. And I think if we ran a site over here, you're going to see that this site is like 5-6 feet lower. So you know everything flows that way. So right away, I'm concerned. I'm going to write number 2, adjacent site, northwest of me, higher elevation. Right? This is a fact that if they use hazardous materials and things that are volatile organic chemicals, it could possibly go to our site. It's kind of things you need to think about when you're reviewing this. So let's go back to the listings. All facilities, all that is a typical register. Remember, if you ever need to know what any of these are, you just go to the end of our report, click on Record Sources Search, and it'll give you the definition of what that is. So they obviously had an open case. Now that's important, right? If you wanted to find out more details on this case, and we're not going to go into all these details, you could go right here. But it started in 1994, and it's never been closed because it doesn't say it was reported closed. Facilities reporting system means they handle hazardous materials and have disposed of hazardous materials. So this site to the north is starting to look bad to me, right? Historic loss, they had a leaking underground storage tank in 1998. Number 3, I'm going to write that down. UST, remember I'm building my case. I want to kind of know what was in that or what could have been in it. So right away, when I go out and do the site inspection, I'm probably going to have my site inspector, or if I'm the inspector, I'm going to go pull a file on this case and see what was leaked in this loss, or I'm going to call the agency up and find out. And lots of times in our data, we had the link to the agency so you can do that. They had a machine shop on site at one time. Still Green Manufacturing. It was probably part of Green Manufacturing. They're a historical listing. Loss closed. They did get the loss closed, so we want to find the details on that. So it started in 91 and ended in 98. Man, that's a long cleanup. Exactly what was going on in there. When I did the site walk, or whoever did the site walk, you would surely want to look on this site and see if they had any monitoring groundwater wells or anything like that, because that's also going to get you the depth of water. But we're so close to water, groundwater is real shallow where we're at. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's just easy. And especially if you've done work in this area, you would note it. So, oh shoot, they've had a spill on their site. Check this out. Let's see, old spill. Further action may not be necessary, but it doesn't say what happened. Start date 1993. And we don't see anything that happened. We're going to want to pull a file on this. Oh my gosh, look at 3. Where is 3? We need to look at where 3 is, because 3 is Shepherd Plating Company. So let's go ahead and look at 3, and 3 is right here. So of course, a plating company is a concern. And we're going to look at that as we're going. So I'm going to write down ID number 3, plating. Why is plating a concern, guys? Anyone can tell me? So we got 4 facts that are leading to the potential for vapor intrusion. Keep it in mind, we still don't have a separate vapor intrusion report. We just don't need it. But let's go ahead. We've already got 4 facts saying there's the potential for vapor intrusion to our site, but I think we're going to end up solidifying this even more. So one of the other things I would do, well, let's go back. Plating company, no one answered my question for me. Well, they use volatile organic chemicals, solvents, all kinds of acids, and all kinds of volatile things. And let's see, 3 is 7 feet lower than our site. Think about that. So it's 7 feet lower than our site. Is it possible that volatile organic chemicals could be leaked or spilled here? Volatile organic chemicals rise in the vapor column or in the pore space of the soil, would go up, hit this road, and go right onto our site right here. That's vapor intrusion, guys. So now we got to see what this plating company used and how long they were on the site, right? So that was fact number 4. Plating. Adjacent to our subject price. And it's going to depend how close the building is and all kinds of stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of things to take into account whether vapor intrusion is potential or not. So let's go one other thing right here. These are areas of contamination where they had contamination in the past. And you can see that they had a contamination right here, area right next to our site. Let's look at that detail, A1. And it's a general liability issue. So basically, they had an underground storage tank that they had to have their liabilities insurance clarification that they are covered for any leaks or anything like that. And all that started in the late 90s. And so this is just, they needed to supply this. But that means they also had an underground storage tank. And that was the wharf, which replaced the plating or was part of the north of the plating building. And you'll see that coming on. And kind of a concern. So number 5, UST, is it VOCs? It's probably gasoline, but we'll see because it's probably a marina. Let's go ahead and look at A1 again. So the wharf right there, right next to our site. And again, that is, it doesn't state the area, the elevation of the area, because it's kind of a funny thing. That's in the groundwater, whereas usually the elevation comes from the address, the location, or the geocoding. So anyway, it's right next door. So we got that, but one of the things we haven't looked at, and we probably should, is mapped air permits. What is an air permit? An air permit is a license to release hazardous materials, volatile organic chemicals into the air. That's exactly what it is. It's usually dry cleaners, printers, manufacturers that use a lot of solvents, automotive cleaning parts areas, that kind of stuff, auto body, spray paint booths release a lot of volatile organic chemicals. They issue permits really based on not whether those are hazardous to people downwind, which this is downwind, right? But for smog reasons, and that's why the air permit thing is required. So if this site leaked and we already know everything slopes this way, we're going to want to know about it, right? So it's item number 4. It's a couple blocks away. It's a long ways away, but let's see how much it slopes towards us. So how do we figure that out? Well, they're 21 feet higher. Perfect Touch cleaners. Well, the good thing about Perfect Touch cleaners is they're at least got an air permit. What bothers me a little bit is we got them in history going way back, 94. And this is great history, 94. Back to at least 94. So that site's been on there for what? 33 years? That's huge. So I might want to do a drive-by. I might want to see I might even walk in it and just ask them their pricing, just to snoop around to see how their housekeeping is. It's a possibility that they could have a big leak and it go right down to our site, because as we saw in the mapped air permits, they're 21 feet higher. There's only one block between us for it to catch part of our property. So right away, that's fact 6. Cleaners. Northwest. 21 feet higher. Now right there is another fact for the potential of vapor intrusion. Remember, we don't have to prove that they've done anything in our way, but that's a potential for vapor intrusion. I want to show you, just for the fun of it, a real crazy mapped air permit. Look at that. Now keep in mind, mapped air permits. They're mapped with the potential dispersion plume based on prevailing winds from NOAA. This is in Boston. Would you want to have an apartment right here? I don't think so. I don't think I'd want to live there. Channeling among all those buildings and combining, and who knows what kind of chemicals it's creating, and is it enhancing it because it's shooting between the buildings, and it kind of depends on the wind. Wow, I don't think I'd want to live there. So if you're going to rent an apartment in Boston, you might run one of our reports and run the map air permits. I don't know that I'd want my family breathing that. But in any case, we got off subject. So we picked up a lot from the RecCheck or radius search report within our report. We could probably already draw a conclusion just based off the radius search report, and we haven't looked at everything or reviewed everything, that the potential for vapor intrusion is there. But I'm not done yet. We've got a whole lot to review. So let's go ahead and review the next thing. And I kind of like to do these in order because I'm building a picture of the site, right? So let's do aerials and towboats. So this is aerials and towboats. On the subject property, if we can get you a parcel map pretty easy, we put a parcel map. A parcel map can be really important. Why can a parcel map be important? Well, sometimes a property is made up of several different parcels, and to ensure you're on the right site, you need a parcel map. In this case, the subject property goes down like that and then goes like that. So, what do we pick up here? Huh? Let's increase the area a little bit. Now, keep in mind, not all our aerials are this nice. This is a pretty good aerial. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. So right away, we've got boats all over our site. Doesn't look like there's any surface staining or anything. We've got boats. Remember, in fact, number 5, we had a underground storage tank over here. Well, it sure looks like a marina to me. And so they obviously have fuel supply, and it's probably gas, right? That's a volatile organic chemical. If it leaks, it could be a concern, because what's going to happen is it could potentially go right up to this road, get caught underneath this road, and the volatile organic chemical could get on our site. So 7 is verification of the marina to the east. Now we'll be able to even solidify that even more. But let's go on. So this up here is the manufacturing plant, and any leaks or anything go right across our site. We want to keep an eye on that. That's a concern. I don't really, this is probably just boat storage, and I don't really see any real concerns right here yet. But that's what I pick up from this first aerial photo. Now, let's go to the next aerial photo. And this one's just as interesting as that first aerial photo. So first of all, what are we seeing? We're still seeing that it's a boat yard. Seems like it's still a marina. And we don't really see a lot of changes. We've got no boat storage here now. We don't know what this is yet, but I'm sure the city directories are going to tell us what this is. This is 2011. So we're getting a time frame stamp of how long our site's been a boat place. And so far we should write that down, 2011 to current. And remember, how long it's been a boat sales, repair, that kind of thing is important, because the longer it's been there, the bigger chance that vapor intrusion or spillage, leaks, or whatever could be on our subject property. Same with this manufacturing. We're getting a date timestamp, right? one of the things I want to look at is see if that dry cleaner. And I just happen to know that site. And remember, we were concerned about the dry cleaner hitting our site. Well, the dry cleaner happened to be right here. And that is not that far from our site when they're 21 feet higher, right? So it could be a concern. The other thing you probably want to look at is, see this green path? Someone tell me what would cause vegetation to grow like that. Can anyone tell me? Anyone? Give me a shot. You guys are all correct. Obviously, there's a ditch, a creek. I doubt it's a river. It's probably not big enough. The one thing that concerns me is it goes underground here. And anything spilled or leaked on this site could leak right into that, and then it goes under my site. So whether the culvert under my site is good, tight, no leaks, or if it was put over an old creek bed, then the things outside of that piping, the old creek bed, transmits fluid still, and it could be a concern for my site. So I'm going to mark this down, and this becomes fact number 9 for potential vapor intrusion from adjacent site due to the creek or ditch or culvert or whatever you want to call it. I think we're going to find out more about this as we go along. So let's go. That was, let's see, that was 2011. Let's skip ahead because I'm going to run out of time. Okay, obviously I'm too zoomed in here, right? Well, that's all right. We're going to look at it. But you can zoom in and out, and for some reason I've overloaded my computer, but, oh, there we go. A little better. Okay, so let's zoom out. Again, we have this parcel map here that really helps us. But what's new? First of all, I have no idea what's going on here. And so I've got to note that. What year is it? Doesn't look like my boat, 1971. So when I do city directories or fire insurance maps, I'm going to want to know it. I have this building here now. Is that my plating facility, 1971? That's a concern. Now, also, my creek changes course a little bit. It looks like it goes this way instead of way down low here. I have a building here I didn't have before, and I have a building here I didn't have before. And I need to pay attention to those things because those could be potential vapor intrusion. Now, keep in mind when you're writing your whole report, you're going to be taking all kinds of things into account because you're trying to identify all the recognized environmental conditions. We're only focusing on vapor intrusion. So, because I have these buildings and I have things, I'm going to put 10 is going to be a question mark. What are the new buildings? and uses on site used for, because I don't know if they're a fact for vapor intrusion yet, but I don't want to forget them. And then I also, the plating facility. I want you to note that building, once we confirm its plating facility, is right up against the road. And it's 7 feet lower than our site. Vapor intrusion could definitely get caught underneath this roadway and go right onto our site. That should be a concern. Okay, that's 1971. Let's go to right here. Nope, we went too far. Right here. So just real quickly, again, what do we have? We have that creek or culvert or whatever hitting the middle of our site. Major concern. And later on, they altered it. So that regular creek bed, if they didn't pull out all the gravels and sands and everything in that, that remains and things could still be going under our site. And see here, it doesn't go across our site. There's an old culvert there. Man, that all concerns me. If this site leaked anything, depending upon its uses, and remember, we don't really know its uses yet, but we're going to find out. Here's your plating facility. We also have this shadow, and this shadow. Anyone have an idea of what those are? Anybody? Give me a guess. Well, not bad guesses, but I think they're actually railroad spur lines going onto the properties. Now, they are obviously removed, but there's a rail line that goes right along here. So that concerns me too. But I haven't proven it, so I'm not going to write it down as a fact for potential vapor intrusion yet. But let's go ahead and see what's happening to our site. That is 1955. So the oldest aerial we have is right here. So again, we still have that potential for spur lines going right there. We still have our big road, but our site pretty much exists the same. But what else do you notice in this photo that's changed? Anybody? And it has to do with the potential vapor intrusion. No building. No building on site. You're right. There's no building here anymore. How about our plating building is not here anymore? Yes, perfect. Good call, James. So now you've got a time frame, a rough time frame of when the plating was there and when the plating wasn't there. That's really important to know. You also know your plater's been listed. So, right away, they've created area-wide contamination, and it's definitely a potential for vapor intrusion, and you probably ought to review the regulatory file, go to the agency or request a copy of the file from the agency on this plating to see if potential vapor intrusion is a possibility. So let's see. Let's get going because we're going to run out of time. I'm going to talk way too long. So this is the USGS maps, and pretty much the date on this thing is 80. So we have our printers. And remember, this gives you time frames again, right? And what we do in USGS maps to make it easy for you to review, we just put a red box around it. The parcel maps usually clutter it too much and don't look good. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that's the only time we use them. So, fact is, I think I want to zoom in on this thing. So we've got a couple things here that you can see. So first of all, you can see that it's the marina now. And this is an aerial USGS image. We still have our manufacturing. They've already changed the course of that culvert, creek, whatever. Hard to tell what our site is because they haven't put that name over our site. But this is all good information. So let's go to, that was 2017. And now it becomes pretty standard here. No biggie. I can't zoom out. I wish I could right now. My thing just is not cooperating. So basically, here you can see the plating facility. Remember, all this adds dates to your site. But basically, it doesn't say anything else. It just says buildings. 1980 doesn't tell us anything. And we have to get all the way down to, let's see, 1941. And what do we see in 1941? Could be, you're correct. It could be dredged fill. And you're correct about the north-south along eastern edge joining. Railroad, correct. What else do we see on this USGS map? Look inside the red box. What is this right here? Absolutely. So now we're dating when the site, first of all, went from going across our site to being filled in with a culvert. And so the uses of the property become a concern now, because if it's used for a culvert, and they probably didn't dig out the entire creek bed, but filling this culvert in somewhere after 1941, probably somewhere in the 50s, let's go up 41, 1960, somewhere between 1940 and 1960, that culvert was filled in. And using aerial photos in this, we can probably get a timeline. And then the concerns of stuff that were done on the site become a big concern that they could have migrated into that culvert or from the manufacturing up here. So the potential for vapor intrusion becomes huge right now. And I mean, really, it becomes huge. So I would write down fact 11 is 1941 USGS showing creek across the city. We know there's an old creek bed there. Okay, that's pretty much aerials and topos. I want to do next fire insurance maps. Now, ERS does not have fire insurance maps. We use other people's fire insurance maps, and we create a new fire insurance maps and then put over a parcel map or a red box showing you your site. And we only provide minimal parts of the fire insurance maps. The only thing that's within a block around your subject property. So this is our typical fire insurance map. And I just, when you can get fire insurance maps, they are definitely helpful. Do you have to have fire insurance maps? No. City directories and aerials are enough, but fire insurance maps do add some things that are really nice. So right away, what do we have? Let's see what year this is, first of all. This is 1969. So we actually have spur lines running onto our subject property. We actually have the railroad running right down here. We have our electroplating. Why are these sites running onto our property? Well, I guess we really need to zoom in and see, right? So there we go. Ha ha. So I want to zoom in on that, and that's what I'm going to do. And so what do we have? On our subject property, remember, these are parcel maps, and you can see with the parcel map that where our parcel is, and that's really nice. If we didn't have that, we might not very quickly be able to recognize our site. So first of all, we got coal yard here. That's hence the railroad line coming in. We have machine shop here. Big concern for use of volatile organic chemicals, right? What do we have adjacent to us? Well, we have the electroplating over here. We have some sort of we have plating, and we have green manufacturing. We have machine shop. We got above ground storage tanks. That's AS. We've got all kinds of things that concern me, and we know we have a creek that goes that way. So again, I'm going to put number 12, green manufacturing, plating, and machine shop is enough for me, and above ground vats. These are Japanese tanks and above ground storage here. So that's all concerned, and I still have my creek. Vapor intrusion on my site is a big, big deal. Not counting that having railroad spur lines, the engines leak oil and diesel and spill stuff and all kinds of things. Right here, we've got 8 trucks for delivery. Wow, do they repair those trucks on site? This is on our subject property. Think about that. Okay, let's go to the next map. I really like these maps. Then we're going to zoom to the last map. So, again, oh, this isn't the one I want. We do have Racing Fuel Company, and we can definitely see green manufacturing a whole lot better. You can see the open vats here. You can see the machine shop. You can see it says right here, creek. Manufacturers of steel stamping and plating, coal room, above ground storage tank. They probably generated steam for power to run their stuff. Remember, this is pretty old. See what it is? 1951. You know that the plater isn't there anymore, right? There's your timeline. Lager storage. So they stored beer and delivered it here. Pretty cool, huh? You got a dwelling here. You got dwellings and stores and restaurants here. No concern. Let's go all the way to let's zoom out a little bit. Probably zoomed out too far, huh? Let's go to 1887. So we've really got a case for vapor intrusion. We've got Bates Fish and Company Lumber Yard. So our whole site is a lumber yard. This is 1887. What's a concern in a lumber yard? Yes, it did. You're correct. Creosotes. Yes. So in the old days, basically, they would dig a pit in the South 40s. So let's say they dig a pit in bare ground, and they'd fill it full of creosotes, which had pentachlorophenol in it. and they'd fill it full of creosote and they'd throw the ends of their posts in there. The ends of their posts in there. Is that crazy or what? And let them soak for months. Well, when they stopped being a lumber yard or stopped doing that, do you really think they dug out all those chemicals out of the ground and disposed of them? And remember, groundwater's really shallow. You got the river here. They probably just covered it over and left the site. Big concern, guys. Huge for the subject property. Huge for vapor intrusion on the subject property. The other thing is, look at this creek. And we have a cliff here. Look, they climb up a cliff with a ladder. Isn't that all crazy? But that means everything spilled here goes into this creek and goes under our site. Woo, big concern. Big, big concern. And what does this site do now? They're a tannery. Tannery uses, for the tanning process, uses nasty, nasty volatile organic chemicals. I'm sure they had deep dipping tanks and all kinds of things on site that could cause a problem. So that's number 13, tannery. (14) Verification creek runs under site. USGS map 1887. Crazy, right? Let's zoom out now a little bit. Lumber, railroad. We just have more and more verification of there's the potential for vapor intrusion on our subject property. Now, one of the things I like to do while we're reviewing, and I want to get to one particular fire insurance map, and I think it's a newer one. Lumber, you've got all the years that this thing was a lumber yard, if you look at all of them, but we missed something. Racing fuel. I can't see it, but find it real quick. It's actually right here. Auto repair, metal paint, spray booth. Right here. Auto body repair and paints booth. Man, big red flag, volatile organic chemicals, paint thinners, solvents, all kinds of things. And right away, this is in 1969, where we dumped everything on the ground and didn't dispose of anything. So that's a big concern. Should be, let's make that number 15. Auto body repair. So before this building was boat sales and repair, it was auto body repair and painting, and this is all after the lumber yard. This is all crazy stuff. This is huge red flags for potential vapor intrusion, and the next step action should be should be vapor sampling, water sampling around the perimeter down to the groundwater, and vapor sampling in the Vado zone. And I think the odds of you picking up something are pretty good from the subject site and adjacent site. And it'd be pretty extensive sampling because this is a pretty big site and had a lot of things that happened on the site. But because groundwater is so shallow, I mean, groundwater is a good test for if there's any contamination coming or going off site. That's something you want to prove to your client anyway, especially for vapor intrusion. Now, the other thing is, I said I always like to get something off these fire insurance maps, and it's the addresses. So right here, we got 950 Erie Street. And I'm going to make note of this because when we review, this isn't a very good one. When we review I probably want to go up to 1012. When we review city directories, we want to know our exact address. And then this is 920. I really want to know what was there. 920 Erie. Then we got to do Douglas Avenue. We might as well go from right here, 922, to, oh, it looks like it's about 1016. This is going to give us what we need to know for adjacent sites, how long things are there from city directories. City directories give us exactly what businesses were there usually. If it's a person's name, 99 out of 100 times, it's a residence. Not always, but 90 times out of 100. So the next thing, just to confirm all these things we've got, and there's certain things we're looking for, like what is this building here? I would like to know what that building is. So I'm going to make a little note of that. And I think that says 947 Douglas Avenue. (947). If I could find 947 in the directories, remember they don't always respond to the postcards that they sent out, it would be cool because right away I'd be able to verify what that site was used for. So if there isn't any other questions on these fire insurance maps, remember we can't cover everything. Let's go ahead and do city directories real quick. See if this is the right site. It sure is. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now here we got a lot of city directories. It's crazy. We don't always get this many city directories, but in this case we did. We have a premium city directory where we list everything in Word format so you can cut and paste it, and we do every 5 years then. We also have our regular city directories, which we just give you a copy of the page that has your site on it. And we try to do it in decade increments. 5-year increments is probably a little excessive, and this looks like it's about 5-year increments. But it's kind of fun. So let's have a little fun. So first of all, we're looking for Erie Street. This is a new one. Remember, they pretty much stopped doing these because they were used for sales. Now it's all digital. So this is 2017, and it's kind of rare to find this. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And we have Erie Street right here. So remember, I wanted to also know what was in 922 to 930. Well, what it was a bar and restaurant. That's pretty cool. So we verified what was in that little corner of our property that wasn't on our property. It's no concern. Spillage of beer isn't going to be a concern to our subject site. We know we're on the right block because we have our marine, our boat sales, RV sales. That's all we get out of this because Dodge Street, the cross street, we're in between that street and Patrick Street to the north. So that's all they had. These are the only people who sent these things back. Nowadays, they hardly ever send the postcards back. So this is really limited. So let's go ahead and go to Douglas Avenue and see if we have anything at all on Douglas Avenue. So Douglas Avenue, let's see, where is this thing? There it is. Here's Douglas Avenue. And I want you to note that we start back in 1920 and we only have 1,031. And so we only wanted to go to 1,016. That's the other side, our side of the street of Douglas Avenue. And it happens to be a food bank. It's no concern. So we didn't get a lot of information in this directory, and that happens depending upon the years. So let's go back to 1991. So here we go. Erie Street. We've got to go to the next page. Erie Street. So right away, again, we got Yard Arm Grill, Bar and Grill. Let's note the address changed from 930 to 920, which still verifies it's in the site we're looking for. This is Erie Street, so we've got Odd is across the street. That's where we get the wharf boat storage. And we verified that it was boat storage. Our subject site, there's the car repair, and there's Racing Speed and Power Auto Parts. That's interesting. Across the street, we got Shepherd Plating Company. So the wharf and Shepherd Plating Company shared the site adjacent to us, but it's giving us our time frame, how long things were there. 1990, the plater was there until 1990 at least. Think about it. And we could probably narrow this down if we review them all. We're not going to review them all. But those are facts that you put in that build the case for potential vapor intrusion. So I've lost some of you, but I'm glad the rest of you. I'm going to hurry up a little quicker. I know I've gone long. Here's Douglas Avenue. But there's Green Manufacturing. And then we've got that charity mission. That's where the food bank was, our side of the street. Green Manufacturing's there. Definitely a concern. Let's jump down to, we want to find what 947 was in about the 60s. So let's look at on Douglas. Remember, we needed 947. We've got 945 Central Automatic. Screw production manufacturers. That means machines that make screws are called screw machines. And they obviously had them. They were cooled with cooling oils and were really messy machines. That would be a concern and would be, now we're up to 16 because we have that 945, 947 was a screw manufacturer. Potential vapor intrusion. But I'd want to definitely sample this site. Crazy, right? Okay, let's go way back to 1901. And let's go to Erie. So here we go. We got our lumber. And we knew that from our fire insurance maps, but we would have picked it up anyway through the city directories if we didn't have fire insurance maps. And then Douglas Avenue. We can see that Douglas Avenue at least didn't extend down that far, or they didn't show it, or they didn't request it. And so we don't have any addresses in the 900 to 1000 range on Douglas Avenue. So there you go. There's many ways you can pick up the potential for vapor intrusion, and it's building a case for your recognized environmental condition. And a recognized environmental condition is the potential to have hazardous materials or petroleum products on your site, either from migration or spilled or whatever, or vapor intrusion on your subject property. And this site would definitely have the potential for vapor intrusion on the site and adjacent to the subject site. And you got well over 16 facts that sum up to back your conclusion. And it's pretty hard to dispute that this site needs to have sampling. Now, keep in mind, all the other things you picked up along the way that could have been recognized environmental conditions for this particular site. Well, you go and sample the groundwater and sample the soil, and you can pretty much alleviate everything by that one phase 2 action. But it is a phase 2 next step action. It isn't required for you to do sampling in a phase 1 report. Only if your client wants you to do that and is willing to pay you for that, obviously. So, do I have any questions? That's kind of the end of the webinar. I did whip through it pretty quick, but we've been talking for about an hour and a half. And thank you for staying. Most of you stayed. 4 of you left, but I've got a couple dozen of you who are still with me, and I do appreciate it. And again, I hope you become, if you're not our client, you become a client of ours, or at least give us a chance to earn your business. Thank you, James. You know, vapor intrusion and vapor encroachment and vapor migration are all pretty much the same thing to me. Yeah, you could pick it apart and really make them different, but no, I mean vapor intrusion. Vapor intrusion is the big keyword nowadays, so I do mean vapor intrusion. But you could call it potential vapor encroachment is a recognized environmental condition. The ASTM states migration, and it could be from vapor, liquid, above ground spill, all kinds of other things. And they do point that out. And they consider migration any movement of anything and onto your property or on your property. So, you know, if you want to call it encroaching, go ahead. I think most people are calling it vapor intrusion. Well, you know, if you find a good article on what spells out the difference between encroachment and intrusion differently, go ahead and send me a copy. I'd love to see it. and I'll put it into my webinars. I didn't know there was that much of a difference, but you know, us rocket scientists always seem to come up with some different ideas, you know. So Ashley, go ahead and send it to me, because I can always, you know, this old document can be taught new tricks, and I do not know it all. So thank you very much, and I love your feedback. Remember, we'll teach these webinars to your staff in private if you want. We can alter them to you. We have more webinars coming up if you'd like to go to our website and check them out. We have a webinar tomorrow. We have fun with these webinars. We hope you do. Become our client. We'll give you copies of everything and teach webinars to your whole company. You're very welcome, Ed. If you guys want to use our report writing template, we'll alter it to your template so it all fits and your logo and stuff. And you've got your paragraphs and your catch-alls and everything you need and your standard answers in there. And then it makes it easier, quicker, faster for you if you're a client. If you're not a client, become a client. We really appreciate our clients, and we really work hard for you. We are a little tiny, basically family-owned company. We are not a 100-pound gorilla. We do a great job, and we try to do the best we can. And you guys, by giving us feedback, we're always making it better. So thank you very much. And if I don't see you tomorrow in the webinar, have a really, really, really good weekend. Adios, everybody, and thank you for attending our webinars. Bye, James. Julie, you guys got to start using us and get off of VDR. Thank you, guys.